Ray, welcome aboard. Jet lagged. Mr. Vice President, you want to not, Mr. Vice President, you want to not tie down the pulpit staff when we're starting services? Hine matov uma naim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov uma
מים, שבר אחים גם יחד.
הנה מה טוב ומנעים שבר אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים שבר אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים שבת אחים גם יחד. Almost Shabbat Shalom and welcome aboard. We welcome as well as those distance davening with us, joining us virtually by our congregational live stream. We hope you made an opportunity ahead of time to download a copy of our satellite Siddur to keep you in orbit and to participate in your end in the service. In the house, we're going to open to page 124 and invite everyone to begin worship by sharing this opening invitational statement of an aspiration that we've come to think of as our mission statement. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture. May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. May this synagogue be for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. Linda, if you'd honor us by coming forth to bench licht. Prayer books, we're back on page 121.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Let's continue reading together. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadligneh shel Shabbat. Amen. Blessed are you, Adonai, O God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Page 138 in the prayer book, Satellite Siddur, you're at the top of page 2.
לך לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לה 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 לה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל עם יוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשמותי הפדת ועליתי לה, לה 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 לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכוון אליך, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה. סוף מעשה במחשבה, לכי לה 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 לה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Last verse. בואי בשלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ופצולה. תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת.
פני שבת.
פני שבת נקבלה.
Page 144, Chatzi Kaddish, is our transition from these preliminaries into our evening service.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ועלמא דברך יראותי, וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי כל בית ישראל. בגלה, ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבם מברך, לעולם עולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתהלל ויתהלל, שמי לקודשו
ברכו
לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה, ואמרו אמן.
Page 146, the call to worship, let us rise.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך, ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
Even as we rise out of respect when the judge enters a courtroom or the king enters a throne room to hold court, so do we resume our seats as we turn the page and prepare for the recitation of the Shema. invite everyone to spend a moment reading through any one of the four prayers here, 148, 149, to capture the preliminary spirit of God's unknowability as the transcendent maker of all things.
Baruch atah Adonai Hamarim Varavim.
Amen.
Ahavat Olam Ben Yisrael Amcha avta Torah u'mitzvot Hukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadta Al-Ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shachbenu Uv'kumenu nasiach b'chukecha V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha Uv'mitzvotecha le'olam v'ed Ki hem chayenu Ve'orech yameinu Uvahem nege yomam v'layla Yoger v'layla Ve'ahavatecha al tasir Mimenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Wasn't Mandel.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha B'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha V'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha V'shinantam levanecha V'dibarta bam B'shivtecha b'beitecha U'b'lechtecha b'derech U'b'shachbecha u'b'kumecha U'kashartam le'ot al yadecha V'hayu letotafot b'neinecha Uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uv'isharecha leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kedoshim le'Elohechem Ani Adonai Elohechem Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Act of contrition. We've been off by a couple of weeks, so it's been a while. That wasn't Mandel. That was Debbie Friedman. No wonder you were looking at me strangely, but it came out beautifully. Thank you. Geulah, page 157. Let us proclaim together our perspective on the Shabbat between one week and the next at this point in history between past and future together, standing on the parted shores of history. We still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together.
מי כמוך בעינים אדוני, מי כמוך נדע בקודש, נוחה תהילות עושה פלא, נוחה תהילות עושה פלא. מלכותך ראו בניך, וכי היום לפני משה, זה ענו ואמרו, זה אילי, ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי יפד אדוני את יעקב, וגילו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. יא לה 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 לה, יא לה לה לה, יא לה 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 לה.
Power and drama of the song of the sea, the serenity of a bedtime prayer. Page 160. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chayim, ufros alenu sokat shlomecha, v'takneinu b'tzat tova l'mifanecha, v'oshienu l'man shemecha, v'hagein ba'adenu. Protect us. As we read together towards the bottom of the page, halfway down, a prayer together. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, O God, watch over us. Life and peace to ever.
ברוך אתה, אדוני, הבורא סוכם שלום. שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל. ברוך אתה, אדוני, הבורא סוכם שלום. שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל. ועל ירושלים ועל כל עמו, ועל ירושלים שלום, ועל ירושלים ועל כל עמו, ועל ירושלים שלום. אתה, אתה אדוני הפורס כאן שלום, שלום עלינו
Shalom Aleinu.
ועל כל עמו ישראל. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. מקדשי מקדשי שבי שבת כולם ישבעו ויתענגו מטובך שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. והשביעי רצית בו קדשתו שבת. חמדת ימים אותו קראת שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. זכר למעשה בראשית שבת. זכר למעשה בראשית שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת.
Tefillah, page 164. Satellite Siddur, we've arrived to the middle of page 7, and we invite everyone, let us stand together. And before we, however, conceptually step apart, let us begin by proclaiming together the words of the psalmist. Adonai sfatai tiftach, ufi agid tilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. And let us come back together again in prayer and song. As we offer a thought to members of our congregation and those precious to them who, even on this sweet Shabbat evening, as the darkening, shrinking moon lets us know it's 2 more shopping days to Hanukkah. There are still those who lie on beds of illness, we're praying for, recovering from surgery, those for whom our prayers have been asked. Leah Jacobson, Joan Anbert Thompson, Bert Posner, Roberta Schwartz, Jane Barron, Joanne Blau, Shirley Posner, Larry Satcher, Beth Pavlov, Stephen Roberts, Herb Wallach, Alan Zuckerman, Leo Wertheim, George Karpman, Stan Aliker, back in our midst, healing up and looking great. Good color, too. I'm hoping when you look in the mirror you can tell that, but clearing up, yes? Wonderful. Happy to have you back and sparkling. And for the kinfolk and friends of our congregants for whom our prayers have been asked, for John Vernon, Julie Fitzgerald, Susan Donahue, Margaret Gallivan, Marianne Mulligan, Linda Gagnon, Christy Raymond, Brandon Ben Sharon, Teddy Emerson, Rosa Footlick, Barbara Kretschmar, Mary Finnessand, Pete Carochi, Henry Berner, Paula McIver, Sandy Footlick, Karen DeSessa, Jim McDonald, Alba McDonald, Marjorie Sarmiento, Bernie and Barbara Friedrich, Nan Needleman, Rick Wilkie, Elaine Veneman, Mayor Ben Chayafega, Paul Piper, wait, never did get that from him, I'm going to go with both just to make sure Paul is covered. Eva Lahav Kava Hughes, Orlando Caceres, our custodian, still healing up from his foot surgery, back as of next week, January. Virginia Footlick, Tom Boucher, and those whose names we call out to build our prayer list, please. And for those at home, don't be bashful about calling out a name, however virtually we'll receive it on this end, as with our cantor, we proclaim together prayer for healing.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach imotenu mikor habracha lotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Ray Bergman, happy to have you back, young man. It's been a while since we had the pleasure of your company. Would you honor us by being our designated drinker? The good news is you're our designated drinker. The bad news is, dude, it's Manischewitz. Those who like to follow along Shabbat Kiddush, you'll find it in the satellite Siddur, middle of page 10, and our big prayer book back on page 123.
All right. This seventh day is consecrated to the eternal God. On Shabbat, eternal sign of creation, we remember that we are created in the divine image. We therefore raise the cup in thanksgiving. Let's read together at the top of the page. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, creator of the fruit of the vine.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, be'ahava uvratzon, inchilanu, zikaron l'maaseh v'reshit, ki hu yom techila l'mikra'i kodesh, zecher l'tzion Mitzrayim, ki banu bacharta, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat.
Salud, ducados y amor. Tovim leim barukim. And because you did such a great job of introducing Kiddush, you know what you get to do? That's it. Slide around front and be a moil for a day.
As we join in together, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lachem min haaretz b'tei avon.
Start slicing, they'll never get any.
Hava, nagila, hava, nagila, hava, nagila v'nizmecha. Hava, nagila, hava, nagila, hava, nagila v'nizmecha. Hava niranana, hava niranana, hava niranana v'nizmecha. Hava niranana, hava niranana, hava niranana v'nizmecha. Uru, uru, achim, urachim v'lev sameach, urachim v'lev sameach, urachim v'lev sameach, urachim v'lev sameach, urachim, urachim v'lev sameach.
Nicely done, sir. I think we carved up enough. You take some home for French toast. You guys going to be out of the country visiting mom the end of the month for holiday visit?
No, we usually probably not till June. No.
Okay, well, in that case, tell Sarah that if she comes last Friday of the month, she can make the bracha over the Torah reading. I'll do the Torah reading, no pressure. I think of this week as the Yigal Yanai Memorial. Yigal Yanai was the director of the Hebrew department at UCLA. He was my Hebrew instructor for the second of my 2 years there. They had some generic Israeli teaching Hebrew 1, but Hebrew 101 and 102 and 103 I took with Yigal Yanai. And he engaged us with vocalized Hebrew biblical text, specifically this week's portion. It's the Yigal Yanai Memorial because I owe Yigal Yanai a favor that when I arrived in Jerusalem after graduation from UCLA, they told me, go up to the second floor in room 202, you'll check with the head of the department and he'll evaluate your Hebrew reading and conversational ability to determine which lemon you should be in. It turns out that the head of the Hebrew department at the Hebrew Union College in Jerusalem was Yigal Yanai, who bailed from UCLA and followed me like a bad penny. And I profoundly disappointed Dr. Yanai because he figured I was one of his students in second year Hebrew. I should be testing out in Kita Dalet. But I only tested out in Gimel Shtayim because I was an English major. I didn't apply myself enough to Hebrew. I was struggling through a seminar I hated, an elective in restoration drama. I don't really care about the English Restoration, and I hate reading plays, so it was a struggle. Anyway, so my penance is I dedicate this Parashat Vayeshev every year to Dr. Yanai because he threw us in feet first with Genesis 37. Carol was reminding me this week, it was the great German novelist Thomas Mann who wrote 5 novels on the theme of Joseph and his family and his brothers and his traumas and adventures in Egypt. And having finished the 5th, Mann shrugged and said, God did it better in Genesis. And speaking as a UCLA literature student doing advanced level of Hebrew, I'll have to agree with Thomas Mann because it's Genesis 37 that hooked me on Torah study and Torah teaching and persuaded me to push me over the top to be a rabbi. But here's the dilemma. Just this one chapter. Forget the fact that the last 13 chapters of Genesis, the earliest novel in recorded literary history, the story of Joseph and how he ends up being in Egypt, how he brings his family down to Egypt, leaving us ensconced there, literally as the mise en scène. I use lots of French vocabulary to honor Sandra, to put us in position for the ensuing book of Exodus and the drama of the birth of Jewish people. So the story of Joseph is profoundly important, but here's the problem. Just as our Christian neighbors this time of year try to get kids excited about Christmas by talking about what Santa is bringing you and make it about presents and treats. And we Jews do the same, unequivocally, with so many of our holidays, making Passover about who gets to find the afikomen. On the same basis, we have to acculturate our children to the stories of our people, the legacy and heritage of Israel, by teaching them the story of Joseph and his brothers. How his brothers were envious because dad gave him some favors they didn't have, so they beat him up and they sold him into slavery. To which we always say, don't try this at home, boys and girls. And then he ends up having these strange dreams and interpreting other people's dreams, and he rises to a position of power, and eventually his brothers come to Egypt, and we all know the story as a story. Or for the Latin scholars, qua story. But here's the thing. If it were only story, if it were only literature, which I, as an undergraduate student in literature, saw and appreciated, it would not have endured 4,000 years. Because it's not about Joseph and his brothers. It's about the household of Israel being configured to be slaves in Egypt, as God had told their great-grandfather Abraham they would be. Back in Genesis 15, God told Abraham, your descendants will be slaves in a foreign country for 400 years. And eventually, I will punish the people that enslaved them and bring them out with great substance and wealth and bring them home to this land that I promised, but not yet. Kino shalem avon ha'amori. Literally, for the sin of the Amorite is not yet complete. Conceptually, it's not your turn yet. The 7 nations of the Canaanites will continue to build up a critical mass of corruption and poison the earth by their sin, their idolatry, their child sacrifice. And eventually the land will vomit them out, and then it will be your turn. The story of Joseph and his brothers only sets the stage for the fact that things happen in God's own good time, which is a phenomenon that we, particularly we Americans, we're very impatient, find hard to accept. Historian Otto Bettmann points out that Europeans were horrified back in the 1880s and 90s when they traveled across the United States by train, and they found the train was stopping for a dinner break, and they were allowed 5 minutes. Can you imagine a Frenchman taking 5 minutes to eat a meal? It takes them a lot longer to read the menu. We are an impulsive, hurry-up nation of impulsive, hurry-up people. And American Jews want it now. Like that nasty girl in Willy Wonka. No, Daddy, I want redemption now. The message of Joseph and his brothers, the narrative, the novel that begins in this week's Torah portion, is that there is a mechanism by which God's plans are carried out And we have the privilege of being a part, and sometimes an unhappy part. Jacob's 10 oldest sons are not happy that Joseph gets all the favor. And Joseph, being 17, enough said, snot-nosed, egotistical adolescent, is totally happy to be wearing his katonet pasim, his management suit, while his brothers are running around in their ratty labor clothes. And worse, when he starts having dreams that he will eventually be favored over them and will bring blessing and that they will bow down to him. Because he's 17, he doesn't keep it to himself. He says, hey, guess what, guys? I had a dream. The sun, the moon, and the 11 stars, mishtachavim li, were bowing down to me. So this is the one thrust of the Joseph story that makes it so infinitely much more than a story, a simple kiddie narrative that we need to, yes, acculturate the kids to so they can grow into it and realize how big it is. That even the sibling rivalry, the enmity and the resentment and the smugness and cluelessness, which we should relate to, having all of us been kids, is designed to bring it home and make it human and accessible at an immediate level. At the same time that it highlights the vastness of how God's plan works out with little wheels within wheels, engaging and turning things forward to fulfill our destiny in the fullness of God's time. That's the one glorious dynamic in this story that we miss if we view it just as a story. Shakespeare says what's past is prologue. Well, this is our very long ago past, and it is indeed the prologue, the preamble of our coming into Egypt to be in the fullness of God's time, redeemed from Egypt. But there's another huge message, much more immediate, if you will, from the story of Joseph, and that is this. Go back a couple chapters to what our Saturday morning Torah students know I call the Great Baby Derby. Jacob is crazy in love with his beautiful cousin Rachel, slaves for 7 years as a bride gift to his uncle for the privilege of marrying her. At the end of 7 years, they make a feast, they take him off to bed, and turns out in the morning the bride that was there was not his beloved young cousin Rachel, but her older sister Leah. So he has been, as the late John F. Kennedy loved to say, shafted. So he does a week of feasting for his bride. They have another wedding, and he works for another 7 years for his uncle, then 6 more beyond to get his share of the flock. All of this juggling. And in the meantime, the 2 women are competing for his attention. You'll remember when, Stan read us on Yom Kippur, I forget who read the Haftarah on Rosh Hashanah, the story of Hannah, who was infertile. And it actually uses the word tsarata to refer to her co-wife. Tsarata, her tsuris, her opponent, her rival. Because in a polygynous society, the women are not all partners, they're competing. Well, the same dynamic applies here, and Rachel, who's infertile, the desired wife, but infertile, finds that he's starting to spend a lot more time with Leah, her big sister, because he wants to be a patriarch. And she's cranking out kids as fast as the episiotomy heals. So she proposes, take Bilhah, my body servant, to be a surrogate mother for me. So he conceives 1 child after another, 2 in a row, with Bilhah. Not to be outdone, Leah says, take my body servant, Zilpah, and let her be surrogate mother for me, because having birthed 4, I've stopped. And so, of the 12 tribes, Leah is the mother of 6. Eventually, Rachel is the mother of 2 and dies giving birth to the younger. But Bilhah and Zilpah each have 1. The pecking order in the hierarchy of the society and of the household is the one mother is more valued than the other, and the 2 other mothers are only slaves who are not really but concubines or surrogate and partial mothers. The 4 women have different status, and so do their respective sons, in the family order, in the household of Jacob, let alone in the subsequent geopolitics of the 12 tribes. But here is what's totally awesome about it. By your standards and my standards and Carol's standards as a mental health professional, as a social scientist, they are half-siblings to each other. Leah's 6, and the 2 each to Bilhah, Zilpah, and Rachel, they are half-siblings to another, sharing a common father. But 4 different mothers. Half-siblings from the viewpoint of law, from the viewpoint of all the social sciences. When Rachel, his mother, dies, giving birth to his baby brother Benjamin, who's so cherished and precious to him, which is why, when we learn the story as kiddies, he's so concerned about and missing Benjamin, because Benjamin is his one full-blood brother. He's going to think of his mother's sister, Leah, as his aunt. Or, if you will, aunt, depending on what part of the country you're from. And here's the marvelous message of the story. There is no term in biblical Hebrew for half-blood kin. There is no term in biblical Hebrew for stepmother, wicked or otherwise. And if Joseph is bossing around his 10 big brothers, because what do they care? They all come from different moms than him. When he rubs everyone's nose in the second big dream, hey, the sun, the moon, and 11 stars bow down to me, Jacob rebukes him. Rebukes him with a rebuke and says, will your mother and your brothers and I then have to defer and bow down to you? Friends, this is a throwaway detail in half a verse in chapter 37. But it sets the tone for Jewish life for the next 4,000 years. Only in our self-hatred are we stupid enough when you meet another Jew to say, oh, really? You're a rabbi? What kind? Oh, you're Jewish? What kind of synagogue do you belong to? If you belong to a synagogue. I belong to a synagogue. We want to label each other. We want to compartmentalize each other. We want to pigeonhole each other, thinking because we can label each other, we understand each other. This is a travesty and a violation of the principle established by our forebear, Jacob/Israel, for whom our household of Israel is named. When he refers to Joseph's aunt, Leah, as your mother, when he refers to Joseph's array of half-siblings as your brothers, we integrate that so thoroughly that when we're little kids in school learning Bible stories, because we're not grown up enough for Torah study with Dr. Yanai, without even thinking of the implications, we tell the story of Joseph, say it with me, and his brothers. It may feel like an evangelical country church to refer to each other as brothers and sisters. But that's what our liturgy says. Islam adopted that from Judaism, and they refer to their co-religionists as brothers and sisters. And in the black churches, they do the same. Yatzlichenu Adonai Bor'enu, b'yachidim kol achenu v'achiotenu b'nei Yisrael. May our Maker and covenant partner bring every blessing as we prepare for this feast of rededication coming this weekend. Bring every success and happiness and prosperity and joy and peace to all of our brothers and sisters, the household of Israel. And let us say, Amen. Shabbat Shalom. Tag, you're doing the reading.
I'm doing the reading. One more time. He's delegating.
But you know what color his shirt is.
He can see my shirt. See, Stan's back, so he's delegating. He's back to being president. That's right. Shabbat Shalom. And by the way, Rabbi, up in Boston, it's Aunt. Aunt. Aunt in Boston, okay? Not aunt, it's Aunt. We have aunts there. Shabbat Shalom. I'm Keith Alter, the first vice president of the congregation. Filling in one last time for Stan. Greetings from our board of directors and a few announcements about the congregational happenings. I welcome visitors worshiping with us tonight and invite you to stay on hand for our Oneg Shabbat following services. Tonight's ONEG was coordinated by Mitch Brom, Bob Jaws, Heather Greenfield, Sandra Heckler, and Robin Singer. Our lovely ONEGs are donated by Jonathan and Heather Greenfield in memory of Shirley Greenfield and Samuel Schultz. Our lovely ONEG is donated by. Our lovely flowers are donated by, sorry about that, Denise Schwartzman and the Bergman family, Jane, Ray, Sarah, and Evan, in memory of Elizabeth Lizzie Bergman. Current details of everything going on in congregational life can be found on our website, in our monthly newsletter, The Messenger, and in our semi-weekly email notifications we send out to the membership. But tonight, I'd like to remind you of a few things. We are still having the baby and diaper formula collection for about 2 more weeks. There's boxes out front for the families in Collier County who are set off by their burden. So please, if you can donate, we'd love to have that. We're collecting toys for the Golisano Children's Hospital in Southwest Florida here at JCMI in memory of Tony and Mary Pinto's granddaughter, Ellie Fields, until December 22nd. Donations can be dropped off at the JCMI office. Please join us for opening day of the Film Festival this coming Sunday, December 14th, with a special brunch at 10:30 and the film showing at 12 p.m. for this film only. You can buy tickets at jcmimusic.com or at the door. The Jewish Federation of Greater Naples will be having their Hanukkah celebration on Monday, December 15th at 5 p.m. at the Mercado, and our very own Charlie Blum will be the MC. The Women's Book Club will meet on every Tuesday, December 16th, at 11 a.m. The book of the month is And So I Roar by Abby Dar. You can find flyers around the building. Please join us for our annual community Hanukkah celebration that will be taking place on December 21st inside the synagogue at 5:30. Tomorrow night is the holiday parade on Marco Island, and this year our holiday parade has 2 new golf carts by JCMI, decked out, one driven by our Mrs. Rabban and our rabbi, and the other one driven by whoever gets the steering wheel, myself or my wife. We're not sure which one's going to win the fight. It starts at 6 o'clock. Monday Night Bingo opens its doors at 5 p.m. Please join us. The concert series is available for purchase also at jcmimusic.com. The Chess Club meets every Tuesday at 9:30 to 12. Please contact Irv Pavlo. The office is selling Memorial Yitzhak candles. And don't forget to bring food for those in our community who are less fortunate any day, especially during these holidays, when you come on Fridays, or leave a donation. We don't have a Zazaka box. We have envelopes out there. We had a little oopsie with a worker. We have to replace the box. I do not have who is the last. And now we move to the conclusion of worship, and I invite to the bima Stan and you pronounce it tomato, I pronounce it tomato. Okay? Esther. Alika. And please reopen your prayer books to 586.
And let us rise for Aleinu. Thank you, sir. Los Angeles,
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
last modification, sir. Our Kaddish prayer, page 598 in the prayer book, is a tribute on this Shabbat to these, the anniversaries of whose death were observed during the week now ending. Lizzie Berkman, William Bunton, Leon Enton, Sadie Koch Goldman, Shirley Greenfield, Emmanuel Haber, Nancy Henken, Marion Hervit, Greta Johansson, Max Karpman, Karen Satcher Porter, Pearl Francis Posner, Ruth Rabin, Samuel Schultz, Isabella Solowski, Pamela Germain Sharon, Bess Singer, Amy Scher Stoltz, Joseph Weisberg, and Arnold Yora. Anyone have Ave Luther Yahrzeit in addition? Zichronam livracha, may remembering them be always a blessing. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah. Yalmad yivrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei. Chai echon v'yom echon. Chayei dechol Beit Yisrael. V'galav yizman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mavorach. Yolom ol me'al mayon. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. Dar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dekudusha b'richu. Kol pirchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Damiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemayim. V'chaim alenu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Aseh shalom b'imromav. Uya aseh shalom. Alenu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. May the maker of peace on high make peace for us, for all Israel, and for those who mourn. And let us say. Amen. And Chazan, forgive me, I transcribed my note wrong. Are we doing Lecha Dodi? Are we doing Adon Olam to the melody of Lecha Dodi, Craig Tellman? Adon Olam, page 625. And make sure you look at the words, because otherwise you're going to end up singing this with the same bouncy Lecha Dodi melody, with the same Lecha Dodi words, and that would be, as they say in the Holy Tongue, a churban and a shanda.
Whoops, right, here we go. I don't know, Asher
like that.
But tell call yet see late so call as I melech Shimoni crawl la 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 Asher malach but tell call yet see late so call as I melech Shimoni crawl ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היום והוא יהיה בתפארה לה 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 אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר יברח לעת נעשה וחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא והוא אחד ואין שני להמשילו להחמירה בלי ראשית בלי תכלית ולא העוז והמזרע לה 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 אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נעשה וחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא. Last verse. בידו אבקיד רוחי בעת ישן והירה ואם רוחי גוויעתי אדון לי ולא ירא לה 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 אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נעשה וחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא לה 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 אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נעשה וחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא.
Barbara Holt, since he fixes everything else, is he giving you magical daddy kisses on that boo-boo? And gentle hugs? Good answer. Shabbat shalom, everyone. We'll see you on the parade route tomorrow night. Is he putting that?
He's the engineer.
And the beauty of it is, those are galvanized steel, but they'll flex just enough to not attach to the top. The door will bang it, bound back. Who's up?
So we're gonna be,
Be back here a little after 11.
yeah, I'll take the last half hour to our study. When you're done, we're gonna swing over there.